PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to another episode of PACTV Community News. This week, we bring you a pond update in Pembroke, some pet health tips on Lyme disease, and a summer update from Priscilla Beach Theater.
We also stop into the South Shore Conservatory as they were designated a Mass Cultural Up location, and we catch up with a South Shore Development bus tour.
PCN also visits Kingston Library to learn about edible gardening and landscaping all around, and Town Talk takes us to Plymouth Town Hall.
It's a packed show, and we begin at Plymouth's waterfront, which had some visitors traveling from far away. What better place to kick off a bike tour across the United States than right here in America's hometown? That's just what a group of cyclists from China, along with some American counterparts, recently did. PCN's Brian Sullivan met them down on the waterfront to get the full story.
Now entering its 10th year of existence, the Tours for Fun travel company is hosting a Cycling Across the U.S. event. The objective is to increase the networking between the United States and China, as well as promote reducing our carbon emissions. The group of explorers from China and the U.S. kicked off their cross-country tour with a press event on the waterfront in Plymouth by the Mayflower 2. All of the cyclists will be leaving today out of Plymouth. They'll end up in Boston tonight, and then they take off from Boston first thing and start their trek across the country heading towards Route 66. They'll connect with Route 66 by way of Chicago and finish the trek in Los Angeles. But before they hit the road, we spoke briefly with American cyclist Jesse Millette.
I am representing the city of Kunming, China, which is in southwestern China. The main reason is to promote friendship between China and the U.S., but you know, also to promote these cultural exchanges, more understanding between the two countries and the two cultures. The 5 cyclists from Kunming, China, you know, they're going to be discovering all about the different cultures of the U.S. and the different landscapes, and in the same time they'll be representing, along with myself, representing their city.
For the group, using bicycles for this trek, although incredibly challenging, serves many purposes.
Cycling adds to the adventure, and you know, at a slower pace you really get to know a lot more about where you're visiting, and you get an opportunity to meet more people. At the same time, it's a very ecological, environmentally friendly way of traveling, and we're trying to promote that to Chinese tourists as well as to Americans here.
On the plus side, everybody on the tour has experience and is physically prepared.
I used to work for a company based out of Buffalo, New York, called Teen Treks, where we took high schoolers on self-sustained trips around the U.S., like 2-week trips. With these 5 cyclists, we've also done a similar tour from China through Southeast Asia to Singapore, which was about the similar length as well.
And of course, the trip ends in beautiful, sunny Southern California. So what's the first order of business when they get there?
Take a dip in the ocean.
In downtown Plymouth, I'm Brian Sullivan, PACTV Community News.
Duxbury's South Shore Conservatory has been selected by the Massachusetts Cultural Council as UP designated arts organization. This new initiative strives to make Massachusetts one of the most art-accessible states and encourages organizations to enhance their cultural experiences. UP stands for Universal Design, to give accessibility to all, pledging for progress in programming and partnerships, to name just a few. Earlier this month, the SSC presented their plans for the designation, and PCN was there to bring you the story.
We're going to jump right in. I just wanted to call attention to today we're here for the UP program, for the Innovation and Learning Network. The UP program is the Massachusetts Cultural Council's universal design initiative aimed to make Massachusetts one of the most accessible places for arts and culture in the country. It's a real vision of our executive director, Anita Walker. And we are working closely with 10 organizations from across the state to do kind of long-term intensive learning together in collaboration to think about how we can all make our programs and places accessible to everyone. And so this is the 5th and final session here today at the South Shore Conservatory. They're hosting us, so we're really excited to be here.
Getting the UP designation means that we've made the commitment to work to make all our programs, events, communications, anything that goes into South Shore Conservatory accessible and available to everyone. And that really ties into our mission here at the Conservatory, that the arts are for everyone, and people learn differently, have different needs at different times in their lives. So we're learning different ways to make things more accessible, ways that we haven't really thought about before, and it's been very helpful for us to be involved in this program. And we're the only organization on the South Shore that's involved in this program right now, so we're feeling very excited about the opportunity to share our knowledge with other folks.
We're very excited to have been awarded being part of the UP network and being part of the UP program. For us, we're the only organization on the South Shore that was chosen, and it means that we're part of a community of organizations that are really intentionally thinking about these issues of universal design and access.
Our overall goal is really to be sure that the word is out, that we are open and available to everybody. So we want to show our communities that we have opportunities available to everyone, no matter their age, their ability, their physical needs. We can really address anything for people to come in here. We want to expand a customer base, but we want people to have the opportunity to participate in and or be exposed to all the arts. And so with this program, we're really getting more tools under our belt so that we can do that.
I think one of the things that surprised me and was interesting to me in this process was I didn't realize how many people potentially stay away from our organization and our events because they don't think they can participate. So our goal really is to change the way we communicate with people through our website, through our programs, through our printed materials, so that everybody understands that this is a place where they can come and experience the arts, whether it's a performance or a class or arts therapy with Eve and her department. So we're really hoping to expand our audience and to become a welcoming organization that brings people in of all different kinds of abilities.
So this is a reality of people who are coming to you.
Many people might not be aware that there are so many fruits, vegetables, and legumes here in the Northeast that we can even grow ourselves. We made up with John Root, and yes, even he sees the irony in his name as he gives a presentation at the Kingston Library on sustainable gardening and edible perennials.
Well, I'm giving a presentation. It's titled Edible Perennial Gardening and Landscaping. It's about how you can grow a lot of both woody and herbaceous perennials, trees, shrubs, vines, canes, herbaceous plants, vegetables for food here in the Northeast. So the astounding number and diversity of plants actually will do well in our climate, and people will learn what those are and best ways to care for them with organic methods. It's really about sustainability in part. I mean, by definition, we can't do things that are unsustainable and then expect to continue to be able to do them. So conventional agriculture involves inputs that are tremendous, the resources, natural resources and energy inputs are more than we can bear, basically. I'll be showing them organic methods of cultivation of plants, and I'll be showing them the types of plants that they'll be able to propagate. You see the fern that people eat as a fiddlehead is called ostrich fern. You'll see these beautiful Welsh onions that are a spring onion. And keep in mind, everything is perennial. It comes back year after year. And perennials have a way of being able to replicate themselves, which is wonderful. So you can be generous with your friends and family and that sort of thing. Hardy figs, hardy oranges, pawpaws, triple crown thornless blackberry, seascape strawberries, groundnut, which is a well-known plant. It's a history lesson in some ways. I mentioned groundnut. I might not be here if it wasn't for groundnut. My ancestor, John Alden, came over on the Mayflower. They didn't bring a lot in the way of provisions to get them through that winter. Native Americans told them about the groundnut, which is a tuber. The plant is a legume, it's a vine, and it grows tubers like pearls on a string, and 16% more protein than potatoes. So that's an example of a plant that very few people are even aware exists, and yet it's native to our region. Just the health benefits of these plants is actually quite phenomenal. And then to be able to share that knowledge and share the plants themselves, because as I mentioned, they propagate themselves quite well with friends and family.
Jules, there's so much available around us, and John Root sort of shared that with us. I always thought all these things came from the supermarket.
Right, right. And we're finding that more and more people are using gardening and local produce, and this was really interesting because there's a lot of things that people don't know that they can grow and they can use all by themselves.
And over and over
and be
and
self-sustainable,
over.
exactly.
Yes. Good idea.
And sustainable also has to do with ponds.
It does.
So, the first day of summer is just around the corner, which always means more people heading to the beach. But not all of the beaches on the South Shore are on the ocean. Some of them belong to freshwater ponds. We met up with Bill Glover of the Pembroke Watershed Association to get an update on the conditions of the ponds in the area.
This is Oldham Pond. One of the things that we want to make sure is that we keep the quality of these ponds up. Oldham has had a huge issue as far as dealing with blue-green algae, and that has been a major concern for us. So in 2011, we were able to finally get this pond treated, and because of that treatment, we're now seeing a much cleaner, much better looking pond. Our ponds are eutrophic, which means that they're basically going through a dying process, and we want to eliminate that dying process. We look at what can we do to protect these ponds, dealing with the areas of pollution, areas of nitrate, phosphorus accumulation, and we're doing that through using aquatic systems, and they've been doing all of the treatments for all of these different ponds. The most recent treatment we did was dealing with water lily infestation over at Furnace. Furnace had a huge amount of water lilies. We were able to treat that last year, and we were able to eliminate probably about 65% of that lily problem. Habermock is still continuing with the issue of hydrilla. Hydrilla is now, we've got about 80% of the hydrilla eradicated. That has been due to also the treatment. That goes back to 2009. We're going to begin treating this year with the herbicide, and we'll continue that along with the additional treatments that we have scheduled for both Furnace and Oldham. One of the biggest concerns we still have is that we need to be vigilant when it comes to addressing the pollution issues that are on these ponds. We also are looking for all continued support with the town selectmen, and all of the voters of the town of Pembroke. These ponds are important, not only to our young people, but the people that are coming into the town. So if you're interested, feel free to get in touch with us. You can get onto a webpage. We've got email addresses there. We're always looking for new people and new volunteers.
Thinking about opening a business but don't know where to locate it in terms of commercial real estate? The Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce held its 4th annual Economic Development Bus Tour with the purpose of highlighting available real estate in the area for commercial development. PCN headed to the Pine Hills to learn more.
It was a beautiful day in the Pine Hills. The sun was shining and the bees were buzzing. What a perfect day for an economic development bus tour, right? The Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce held its 4th annual bus tour, and PCN stopped by to get a better understanding of this informational tour.
We get together on the bus to go to the communities to get a sense of what's happening there. Can a banker expect to find a developer come to them to borrow money to build something there? So in other words, it's basically putting people together that are in the commercial real estate world that would effectively create opportunities for developers, for builders, for insurance people, for bankers, for all the facets and different components of a commercial real estate deal. The people that are on this bus represent most of those factions.
What we do is staff goes through and looks at all of the available properties in the region, and what we do is we work with subject experts in every town. So no matter what town we drove through, we had somebody on board that could tell us about their particular community. Any town that we went into, we had somebody that knew the local area and could tell us all about what was going on in that particular community.
These are really successful events because it gets people's minds going, okay? They get thinking, they get out of their little cocoon. So they see a larger area. They see the area that they really should be looking at all the time, but they just drive by it. I heard comments made like that today, like, man, I've driven by this like 20 times in the last 2 weeks, and I never realized what was here. So it brings attention to things that, and areas in space that people don't typically evaluate in their traveling back and forth or going to the grocery store or whatever, but now they've got their business hat on and they're thinking more of, you know, how could I get this business concept in my head and make something work?
The bus was filled with realtors, bankers, and various members of the business community. The tour spanned an area stretching from Marshfield all the way down to the Sagamore Bridge, touching upon each town's unique areas of development potential.
The main objective is to highlight how great all of these communities are and the economic development opportunities that are available within each of those communities. For example, we drove by the O'Donnell property in Kingston that's available for development. We drove by the new Market Basket site off of Route 80 in Plymouth, which has a lot of opportunity for retail. And in Pembroke, in the industrial park, saw the new Redbrook development that's being developed by A.D. Makepeace, 1,200 homes over the next 15 years. So I think people left with a great packet of information, a great understanding of all of the communities, and opportunities that they didn't even know existed before they got on the bus this morning.
Reporting from the Pine Hills, I'm Maureen Bates, PACTV Community News.
The only thing that can make the South Shore better in the summer would be some good old-fashioned summer stock. Up until now, you would have to travel down the Cape for summer stock. But now the Priscilla Beach Theater is up and running, fully renovated, and gearing up for their summer season. PCN stopped by to tour the new theater and learn a little bit about what is so special about the 2015 summer season.
2 years ago, the dilapidated ruins of a historic barn theater were on the verge of crumbling. Only the quiet whispers of the days of Paul Newman and Rob Reiner kept the skeleton of the building standing, along with the love of reputed artistic director Geronimo Sands and its two new investors, Bob and Sandy Malone. With a deep passion for theater that knew no bounds, Bob Malone began a journey to restoring the theater to its original glory, with some added improvements.
We started this project about a year ago, and the barn, if anybody had seen it before, the before shot was pretty stark. It was leaning over and falling down, and you know, certainly wouldn't have survived this past winter. So what we had to do is a total kind of structural remediation, replace most all the structural components, and then we had to do new siding, new floors, new roof, add in an ADA compliant bathroom for the addition. And that took us right up until the fall, so we got you know, most of the structural stuff done by the fall, and then in the winter we were able to kind of focus on the inside, doing the seats and the soft goods on in the fly area for the curtains and all that, and the lights, and that brings us to now. Okay. So this new structure, obviously the big thing that it has, it's structurally sound. So that's, you know, check that box. It didn't have that before. But now it's a much more conducive for the theater, for the shows themselves, not only for the audience. We have tiered seating, which we didn't have before, but on stage we have more areas that the directors can kind of incorporate into the shows themselves. You'll see loft areas on stage right and stage left that are much more usable. We have a much more advanced lighting system and sound system that goes with it. And we have kind of a more functioning fly area than we've had in the past. We've also brought in projection elements so that we can have some scenic projection. If anybody goes to Broadway shows, they'll often see it's used pretty frequently at this point. We'll be able to also do that. We have a rear projector at this point that will be going in. That'll be part of it. And then we have great dressing rooms and green rooms for the actors, which we really didn't have much before.
The real dream lives in recreating the traditional summer stock training grounds that led the way for some of the greatest theatrical artists known today. Achieving that goal makes Priscilla Beach once again home to future stage stars and screen actors.
We have a resident company that will be living here this year, which has always been our dream when we bought this, to go back to what it used to be. So we'll have a resident company. We'll have about 15 actors and staff living on campus throughout the summer. That will be the main actors in the shows themselves.
The restoration, costing into the millions, promises an exciting first season for the fully operational new barn theater. Malone explains that this is especially meaningful for him.
This season is going to be awesome. This is, we've had the benefit of, when we bought this 2 years ago, we had our inaugural season. The barn wasn't ready, so we did stuff out, side, and it was great, kind of that first year, and there's something very special about that. We have the benefit of having that first year again with the barn, so we're excited about that. Being in the barn, it's so special. There's something magical about being in that space, and anybody that's performed there or seen shows in there, they know it, they feel it. This year we have two big shows on that main stage, in the barn stage. We do Fiddler on the Roof, that opens July 10th, and we do Chicago, that opens August 7th. Two great shows, some of my favorite shows. Fiddler on the Roof in particular, there's something very special about that show. It's the first show I personally was on stage in. I was at the very end, there's these two little boys that come on, and I was one of those boys, and we have this great picture of that. There was a group of people from Tufts here at the time. One of those people, Ron Fassler, went on, had a great career in television and Broadway, and now he's back, and I asked him, as a personal favor to me, if he'd come back and direct the first show that we did. So he's coming back, so he's the director, which is over the top great for us. We're very excited. And then Michael Hammond, who's a well-known director here in the South Shore, is directing Chicago, and he's awesome. And we can't be happier for the kind of the staff that we have prepared for that. We have another 13
With music, laughter, tears, joy, this once empty space made holy again by the will and investment of the Malones will no doubt live for another 100 years. Reporting from the Priscilla Beach Theater in Plymouth, I'm Maureen Bates, PACTV Community News.
Our pet health segment is back at Court Street Animal Hospital in Plymouth for more pet health information.
Hi, I'm Norm Stillman from the Court Street Animal Hospital in Plymouth, here for this week's PCN Pet Health segment. This week I thought I'd talk with you about Lyme disease, a timely subject this time of the year. Lyme disease is probably the most common infectious disease that we see in the spring and also in the autumn. It's carried by ticks, and cats are mostly immune to it, but dogs very commonly get it. I want to tell you about the 4 typical symptoms of Lyme disease so that you can recognize it in your own dog. Typically, a dog with Lyme disease has almost an overnight onset. It's never slow to come on, but always comes on very quickly. Dogs who have Lyme disease typically develop a sudden onset of joint pain or lameness, also a low-grade fever, also some lethargy, and almost always decreased appetite. So very typically, I'll see a dog who comes in, the dog was fine yesterday, and today she wouldn't finish her breakfast, and also she's carrying one of her legs. or sometimes just very lethargic, and normally she jumps right in the truck, but today she needed some help in. Those would be very typical presentations for Lyme disease. The good news about Lyme disease is that it's very easy to treat and to diagnose. The diagnosis is very straightforward in almost every case, and the treatment is a very safe and easily obtained and inexpensive medication. Typically, we say that dogs who are treated for Lyme disease are cured of it. There's not really a chronic state or a residual state like they say there is in humans. So recognizing the disease and getting it treated in a timely manner is typically all you need to do. The interesting thing about Lyme disease is that you can get it again and again if you're a dog. It's not like chicken pox. Once you have it and you're treated, you're still susceptible to it in the future if you're a dog. So I hope that helps you to recognize Lyme disease this time of the year and get it treated if your dog is unfortunate enough to contract it. Thanks so much for watching. It's been a pleasure seeing you this week.
Town Talk takes us to Plymouth Town Hall for a summer update.
Hi, I'm Melissa Origi, the Plymouth Town Manager. I want to talk to you about a couple of things today, and the first is the Plymouth Community Blood Drive that is being sponsored in part by our Plymouth Council on Aging. This takes place, I think often the American Red Cross is looking for people to donate blood, and the town is at least trying to do a part in contributing to that because we know what that need is. So we encourage you to reach out to the Council on Aging and see if you too can help them with that efforts. The American Red Cross has been very good to this community, particularly most of you will remember the terrible winter we had last year and how many times we had to reach out to them for their help, in addition to some of the fires or tragedies that we've had in the town. I'd also like to talk about something that's a more fun subject, and that is the fact that the weather is getting much more beautiful and the beaches are opening. Right now, Morton Park and Plymouth Long Beach are open. We have lifeguards there just for your safety on weekends only. We will go to a full schedule of every day starting June 27th. Also on June 27th, we will officially be opening and have lifeguards at Whitehorse Beach, Fresh Pond, and Hedges Pond. Now, we need some help because we are still looking for lifeguards. We've searched everywhere we can and we still need some additional help because we'd like to make sure that we have coverage in Manomet at Fresh Pond. We will only probably be able to do weekends there, and we can't guarantee that yet unless we get some students, college students or others that are interested in doing these lifeguard techniques. And you'll notice a change this year, a vast improvement in my opinion with the new towers, lifeguard towers that we've put down at Whitehorse Beach. You're going to see some other changes at Whitehorse Beach. You're going to see a larger presence there by our natural resource officers. There is no public drinking on the beaches, so we're really asking people to take note of what's going on around them and call the police if they see something that isn't appropriate. We also are asking for the public and visitors here to make sure that they respect all our natural resources. We don't want litter there. There was no drinking. You have to be careful about parking. Be respectful to those around you. We'd like to make improvements on that beautiful beach because the town is investing a lot of money in a long-term management plan, and it's going to be important that even before we have that in place, we start to pay more attention to what is going on there. So you're going to see a police presence there as well, particularly on the roads, monitoring how the parking is, the traffic, how people are driving. There's so many pedestrians around that popular beach that we just ask you to take special care this summer and into the future. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this week's show. As always, repeat times and links are at our website, PACTV.org, or you can find us on YouTube.
And be sure to follow us on social media like Facebook and Twitter to receive previews and links to all our shows.
We'll see you next week on PACTV Community News.